The cell phone has quickly become an essential accessory for millions, if not billions, of people around the world, young and old. But there are some special concerns when it comes to kids and cells. Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Blanchette is an expert on the mobile phone dangers children can face on a daily basis. Things they post online can impact their futures, and there are applications that can lead predators right to our kids. Trooper Blanchette came in to discuss all that with Connecting Point correspondent Carol Lee McGrath.
They're getting younger and younger, kids that are now given cell phones by their parents and don't really appreciate and understand the dangers of having a cell phone and the responsibility that goes with it, and using that cell phone to message friends or utilize social media, where there's a lot of things that they say that you might want to hold back and not necessarily post such private moments in your life.
Okay, so you're obviously seeing a lot of this in terms of
Yes.
teenagers. What kinds of things, and where are they posting these things?
Well, social media is very huge, and third-party messaging applications that they have with their friends. But social media, Twitter, Facebook, various social media sites, and there's plenty of third-party apps that they use for messaging, along with web viewing that goes along with it that they're utilizing.
And some of it is sexual content, which becomes, obviously it's a problem anyway, but it becomes a bigger problem when it's out there in public and can be tracked. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. One of the applications that everybody is very familiar with being out in the public is Snapchat, and you know, the belief is amongst these kids is that if they take a picture or video of themselves and send it to their friends, that it goes away, it self-destructs in a certain amount of seconds that they program that picture or video to self-destruct. However, with the advantage capabilities of smartphones being able to capture screenshots, that picture may self-destruct from one end, but once it enters onto that receiver's screen, it can now be screenshot. So therefore it's going to be saved forever and potentially be out there in the long term. In addition, there's also other third-party applications that automatically save these snaps, is what they're called, such as Snap Save or Snapbox. There are other applications that actually just will automatically save those snaps.
And that becomes dangerous, of course, because there could be pedophiles in those using those other applications. I mean, can they track your kids on Snapchat?
Sure. If that picture comes out, there's a lot of applications where you download this application and it has location settings. And you do have the ability to turn these off. However, a lot of times by default, the location settings are automatically on. And some of these kids don't realize that they would need to turn off these location settings. So once that picture then goes out there, somebody who's really looking for them, such as a pedophile for a child, they're going to do everything that they can to figure out location data and track this child down.
And surely there are people looking, right? It should be a big concern for parents that these are not, you know, just fun phones to have, but these can be, you know, lead to a dangerous situation for their kids.
Oh, absolutely. And these pedophiles, it's not like they have a sign on them to show who they are. There's no look that you can go by, but by what they look like, so you don't know who you're looking for. And when it's online, there is no identity to these predators.
What about a provocative picture? If somebody sends a provocative picture, naked picture, from one kid to the next, and now that next kid has it, does that become something that could be a chargeable offense now that that kid is holding a picture of a minor, you know?
Yes, by the definition of the law, a picture of a child in the nude in a sexual nature under the age of 18 is considered child pornography. And when you do send that picture to another person, that is another violation of the law for dissemination of child pornography. And now the receiver of that would then be in possession of child pornography. Here in law enforcement, for those teens that we're dealing with here in Hampden County, we're more of in trying to educate and get them into programs if necessary, so that we can kind of cease that type of behavior.
Right, but that becomes a big problem. I don't think kids at that level, I mean, certainly you don't want to be doing that anyway, but I don't think kids are thinking, oh my gosh, this is a crime. I really shouldn't be doing this. There's a lot of things that they don't realize that could be so serious with the phones. Do you find that?
Yes, and you see it now. There's a lot of times what we're dealing with is you'll have these now grown-ups, adults, they're in their 20s, and they had sent some provocative pictures in the past that are now starting to surface into these different social media or online somewhere, and now they're coming to law enforcement for help to try and get these down off of the internet, because they were only 15 or only 16 at the time of the picture, and it's now affecting their status,
right.
And then it's affecting, you know, them being able to get a job. So it's definitely has a long-term effect, and they now are reaching out to law enforcement for some help.
But can you get those pictures down? I mean, is there any way to do that?
They're out there. They're always going to be out there. We can make attempts in order to get these different sites to take them off their site, but the damage is already done.
The damage is done. What about just something as simple as group text messages? Sometimes, you know, kids can kind of spout off a little bit in the group text, and something that maybe they don't really mean, but they write it down, can have a different meaning, especially like if somebody from the school saw it, or maybe if you saw it. How could you advise parents on that?
The kids are definitely get frustrated in certain situations, and they post these things really not appreciating or understanding the ramifications for what they're posting, and kind of their frustrations. I think parents really have to educate their kids in that everything that they say now
Can be used against you.
absolutely, and it's going to affect you
Yeah.
later on, especially if it's in a negative light. And that's what I think kids have to appreciate more, and the parents have to maybe make sure that they appreciate that.
And parents need to step it up too and make sure that they understand what their kids are using. And that's can be tough too, to keep on top of all of this technology.
Yes, you know, it's different than a computer. Where a computer you would just put in your living room, and you'd be able to monitor your child of what they were doing on the computer. But a cell phone is portable, and that cell phone goes with your child throughout the day, unsupervised. So it's very difficult to track exactly what they're doing.
All right, Trooper Mike Blanchette, thank you so much for joining us and scaring me. I've got a lot to learn. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you.